Hi, everyone. Super happy to see all of you here. Happy to see so many familiar faces and so many new ones. And I guess that we'll wait for a couple more minutes so everyone can join the meeting. And until we are waiting, I suggest to everyone share their LinkedIn profiles so we can make a short networking with each other. I also do have my link. We'll post it now. And yeah, here is our LinkedIns, and then I will go through your profiles and add everyone from this meeting. Okay. So weird to see other Yulia Zhukova, but I'm super happy to see you, Yulia, again.
Usually. Hey, hey.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's 7:02, and I think that we can start. So, hi everyone, great to see you here today. And our topic is hot one, how to find remote work. And before we start, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Yulia. I'm founder of Nerdsbay. And since 2019, we've been helping people in Finland to find a job here or to move here. And for now, since the market has changed and it's quite tough right now, we launched our Employer of Record program. It lets you live in Finland as an employee of Finnish company while working on project for companies worldwide. So we don't search a job for you, but we make sure you can legally be employed in Finland. And at the same time, we love to support our community with events like this one. And soon, for example, we plan to make a really nice talk about how to talk about salaries. And if you're not yet subscribed to our event calendar, I really do recommend you to do so. There is a QR code for that, and I also put it in the first message. So if you are from the phone, probably it will be easier for you to find the link there. Yeah, so follow us on Lumo and on LinkedIn, so you will be in our events. And the 3rd of October, we will have a big webinar about employment of record. I also encourage you to join. And you also can find this link in our event calendar. There is also event this Friday, but it's already like fully booked. So, and now I will pass the mic to our amazing speaker, Dina, who actually helps people to find their job And Dina, I pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Yulia. Let me screen share just to start. And could you confirm that you can hear and see me well?
Yes, everything
Fantastic.
is well. I can hear you, so you can put your presentation now.
Yep. Screen share now, and hopefully you can see it. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again for having me here, Yulia, and for everyone to finding some time to join us as well. A little bit about what we're going to cover today. We're going to introduce ourselves, tell you a little more about both Nerdsbay and AgileFluent. Then we're going to talk about different markets that, in our opinion, are worth exploring for our remote jobs. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the key differences when it comes to job searching, what you need to know when it comes to your resume and LinkedIn when you're looking for a remote job. Then just a little bit about the salary levels, and then I'll pass it back to Yulia to talk about the employer of records and remote work options in Finland, as she's definitely a pro when it comes to these topics. So yeah, just to introduce myself, my name is Dina Russakova. I'm an IT recruiter and a career consultant. I started my recruitment career at the biggest IT staffing agency in North America called Tech Systems, where I was recruiting for such companies as Meta, Amazon, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Lululemon, and many, many more. I was mostly focused on recruiting for Seattle and Vancouver locations, Vancouver, Canada, Vancouver, not US. For the past 2 years, I've also been helping job seekers as a career consultant. And today I'm talking on behalf of AgileFluent, which is an amazing company with over 100 professionals, 100 mentors from all over the world. And together we're guiding the candidates throughout the job search. We've already placed dozens, if not hundreds, of clients, and some of them are working for such companies as Amazon, Flow, TikTok, Bolt, Uber, and EPAM. And just a little bit about how AgileFluent helps job seekers. So we pretty much help you with everything, starting from improving your English specifically for interviewing and job searching. We guide you through the entire process when it comes to resumes, LinkedIn, cover letter creation. We help you with mock interviews to make sure that when you actually get that dream interview, you're well prepared. And we also do some job applications and LinkedIn outreach on your behalf. So just keep in mind, and yeah, that's a little bit about us. And Yulia, if you want to tell us a little bit more about Nerdsbay, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I actually been already introduced myself quickly, but here a few words. So Nerdsbay is a Finnish employer of record provider and the global tech community. And Nerdsbay already helped more than 1,000 tech professionals and their families relocate to Finland. And through our employment of record from Finland, people right now working for very different countries, from Singapore to Germany and from Emirates to US. So pretty like all the globe. And I just encourage people to go to our next webinar, because I believe that today probably we will be out of time, because I've seen your presentation and it's especially like a very good one. So I encourage everyone to listen very carefully for Dina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yulia. And just to save some time, let's jump right into it. So just to start, let's talk about what markets to target. And I know that we have some people who are already in Finland today, some people from all over the globe, but our goal is to tell you what kind of companies are hiring remotely and where to find them. So first option is to target the companies that have remote first or work from anywhere policy. If I'm being honest, there are not too many of them. They are amazing. They usually allow you to be in any corner of the world. They, most of them are partially or fully async, so you have lots and lots of flexibility. That is why there are not too many of them, and we put some examples here on the slide. So companies such as GitLab or Remote or Deal will easily hire you from anywhere, and even if you go to their career websites, you're going to see that unlike many other companies, they don't have remote roles. They don't have a specific requirement for a country, like remote within US or remote within Canada. They do not care where you're located. So this is one of the easiest options. But since they're so desired by everyone, there's huge competition. There are not too many of them. So what we want you to do is consider some other options and have some secret information on what else you could possibly target. So we have divided the companies by regions, but also by the industries. So the first one that I want to cover is United Arab Emirates. Traditionally, more companies in that region are hybrid or have an office culture, especially like Arab companies versus some international ones. But Dubai, Abu Dhabi specifically have some pretty well developed industries that do hire remotely. So your first option would be to target the tech startups. It can be SaaS, AI, Web3, health tech, ed tech. As Dubai and Abu Dhabi both have a very strong startup ecosystem. You can take a look at Hub 71, the IFC, FinTech Hive. They all feature these companies that hire for remote roles. The UAE has lots of different digital banking, payments, trade and platform companies. And again, if you go to their career websites, you're going to see some in-person roles, especially when it comes to some business functions like sales or recruiting or administrative support. But when it comes to different IT roles, UAE companies are often struggling to find local candidates or struggling to talk candidates into relocating to UAE, as it's definitely not for everyone. So such companies as Lena, Kareem, Binance, Crypto.com, QLab, they're the ones who are going to hire remotely. And sometimes, even if you go to their website, you can see some hybrid roles. But the reality is just based on all candidates' experience that for the right profile, for someone who's truly a fit for the roles that they currently have open, they're willing to be flexible and they're willing to hire remotely. What else can you target in UAE is blockchain startups. There are a lot of them, and just a little disclaimer, we're giving you some general guidance on what you could possibly look into. There are definitely more companies. Everything is definitely changing all the time. So some of the companies in 2 months might not be hiring for remote. They might switch to an office policies. There are some new companies that are being created and that are raising investments that are going to hire for remote. So double check everything, do your research, but here we're just giving you general guidance. So in blockchain space, some companies as Data Operations, Certic, Keyrock are pretty popular employers who are both bringing in talent to UAE and hiring for remote roles. Also, online marketplaces, logistics stack, delivery apps are some of the companies that might have some interesting roles and that are actively growing in that region. And one interesting kind of companies built that you can look into is consulting and outsourcing companies. Is some of them will require travel, some of them will require you to be in the office, but they're hiring a lot. And they consist of a lot of people. And they're consulting clients all over the world. So when they're recruiting clients in US or Europe, they might actually want someone who is located there compared to local candidates. So I would recommend looking at Dowtom, Tech8, Dubai, DevData, DataArt. Again, if you go to their website, you're going to see some hybrids and in-person roles, but they definitely hire for remote as well. MENA is a really interesting region for job searching, and they're growing rapidly. So I would also look into Saudi Arabia, companies such as Tamara, Jahez, Hunger Station, Salam. You can look at such options as Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar. Not too many companies here, unfortunately, but these ones are based on real experience, hire for 100% remote roles from anywhere. So I would recommend you to take a look. And when we're talking about MENA, as I mentioned, typically they would prefer local candidates for business sites, for the business part of the company for the business roles, but for tech roles, sometimes for support roles, for some functions that don't have to be in the same time zone, or for the functions, so for the skill sets where they're struggling to find the right people locally, they're going to be more open. So keep this in mind. What else? Cyprus is an interesting option. If this presentation was happening a few years ago, I would say check out Cyprus, your top priority. Lots of remote roles, great salaries, amazing opportunities. But things have changed a little bit recently. So I would say, I might be mistaken here, but based on my understanding of the situation, European Union was not too happy about people working remotely for Cyprus-based companies and having some preferable tax regimes. So at some point, they asked Cyprus companies to either bring everyone back or change their tax policies. So right now, a lot of roles in Cyprus are in person or hybrid, but there are still some industries that hire remotely, and among these industries are forex brokers. Not industries, company types, I guess. Forex brokers, trading platforms, payment processors, and here is an example. We put Axnis, XM, FX Pro, eToro, Capital.com. iGaming and online entertainment is an interesting option. It is definitely not for everyone. And I've met a lot of clients who right away said, no iGaming, no gambling, no betting for me. But if this option is okay with you, and if you want to work remotely for a Cyprus-based company and get paid a lot, I would definitely look into this one. As these companies are having a harder time recruiting candidates due to the specifics of the industry, they are usually more likely to give you flexible arrangements and higher salaries. So I would look into this option as well. IT outsourcing and consulting, same as Dubai. They have clients all over the world, and often they prefer their team to be spread out globally. So NetInfo, iSpiral, Signal, Generix are some companies that you might check out, and they always have some interesting remote roles. Last but not least, crypto and blockchain startups. Also, it's an interesting kind of companies as well. It's an interesting industry. Two, they sometimes struggle to find the candidates with the right experience, with the domain expertise. So if you have any experience in this space, even something like close to the space, maybe not specifically crypto or blockchain, but some fintech experience, in some cases finance experience, then it is worth checking them out. And due to the nature of their business, they are also more flexible with some payment arrangements. In some cases, they're even paying their employees in crypto. So there's traditionally more flexibility with remote arrangements when it comes to them. What else? US. So this is actually interesting because I think US is the most desired market to work for remotely when it comes to job seekers. Everyone knows that US companies pay really well. Everyone knows that they have interesting projects. They have the most modern stack, and it's a very valuable experience to put on your resume. But it is very tricky, and I wish I had a more straightforward plan for you. But let's see whether it's possible and how to make it happen. So first of all, some of you have probably heard about the recent changes to H-1B process. So in the past, companies were sponsoring a lot of candidates through H-1B and ask them to relocate to the US and come to the office. Therefore, the preference was for people willing to relocate versus remote candidates. With the recent changes effective September 21st, this might change as it now costs $100K for a company to bring someone to the US through H-1B. I'm not a politician, and I'm not sure exactly how this is going to affect the job market. But my guess is that some companies that were not too flexible and not too open to remote candidates will now consider people working from other parts of the world. Maybe some of the US companies will be open European entities just to make the hiring process easier. So I would if I was you, I would keep monitoring the situation to see how it evolves. But in terms of the process, one thing that you need to know is that some US companies only hire in the US time zones. So when you start looking at the job descriptions on different aggregators, you're going to see that some of them ask you to be within, let's say, 4 hours within PST or EST time zone, or some of them are going to ask you to cover certain hours. That being said, if you're open to it, maybe in your case, it will mean working early mornings, sometimes working late nights, then companies might have some flexibility around it. Some companies, especially startups that are in the process of raising investments, they already need people as soon as possible, but they're not yet ready to hire someone from abroad for a full-time role. And in this case, they try to use different, I want to call them, some of them are freelance platforms, some of them are like closer to EOR model. Companies like Upwork, TopTal, in some cases, Deal might hire people remotely and then outsource them to the US companies. And I've seen some cases when people started remotely, people started as a short-term contractors, in some cases even freelancers, and just a few months later got offered full-time jobs. So even if that's not your exact goal, I would still look into this option. What is your best bet is probably startups. So as I mentioned, these companies are not in a position, are not in the best financial position, and which I mean by that is if we're thinking about huge companies, they have lots and lots of money to hire someone from the US sitting in California making $300K annually. But startups, even some bigger ones who have just raised $30 million, $40 million, $80 million, they're still not in a position to hire the entire team within the US. So in this case, they start looking into some flexible options. They might sponsor candidates to relocate to the US and pay them less than local candidates. But again, with H-1B changes, that is not the best option. They might be open to hiring freelancers, but when it comes to some bigger startups, they want a team that is really committed, that is working full time. So in this case, they're going to look into hiring remote people. The only problem here is that it is a little bit hard to find the startups, and there is no set list that we can share with you as it's changing every week, if not every day. So just in about 10 minutes, we're going to look into how you can find US startups that will be open to hiring remotely. One last thing is some small staffing agencies that have secret roles. So if we're thinking about staffing agencies as an industry, as a type of company, usually they only hire the best candidates, top 5% of the market, someone with work authorization. But some smaller agencies, they try to target US startups who don't know how to hire from Europe, but they do want cheaper talent. They want someone strong technically that can help them scale. And in this case, they're going to ask the staffing agency who know the European hiring landscape really well and who can interview the candidates properly. They can ask them to find them someone who will be working remotely for a US company. Unfortunately, again, we don't have a list of smaller staffing agencies, as just based on my experience. It's usually like a 7 to 8 person agency based somewhere in Eastern or Western Europe who are supporting mostly European companies, but they decided to try themselves in the US market. So they found some clients and they're hiring for US based roles. As I mentioned, in just 10 minutes, I'm gonna tell you more about how to find this kind of companies. But right now, let's talk about the last option. So it is UK markets. And if I'm being completely honest, probably UK market is not your best bet at the moment, as it's pretty challenging to find a job there, even if you're open to relocation or if you're in the UK already and you have work authorization and you're targeting remote roles. It's just not the easiest market for job searching. But that being said, I've seen people get amazing offers. UK is just like US is definitely a very high paid market. They have some amazing companies. They do have some companies with European entities, which might make the process a little bit easier. So I would check out checkout.com, go cardless, Thought Machine, Improbable. You can also take a look at the UK founded but remote first or like global companies. I have a few examples here like Hopin, Oyster HR, Remote.com, but there are so many of them. So I would recommend looking into SaaS and consultancies. And at the same time, just to make sure that you don't waste too much of your time, I would not look into Revolut or Monzo or Starlink, like bigger companies who are already in the position to hire locally. A few years ago, they were hiring some remote talent, but it has definitely changed recently. So keep this in mind. To sum it up, remote job search isn't easy and straightforward, and I wish that we could just give you a list of companies that are open to 100% remote from anywhere candidates. But the reality is that you will have to get creative. You will have to identify the companies who are open to it for one or the other reason. Remote first companies or startups are your best bet for the reasons that we have already mentioned. And just traditionally, some of the, you can call it interesting, you can call it newer industries like crypto, Web3, gambling, betting that require specific experience that might not be as popular among the candidates as some other companies like e-commerce or SaaS. They're usually more open to remote candidates. So definitely worth doing your research and identifying the companies that will be a right fit for your experience and that will be open to hiring you remotely. Now, how to find a remote job. And that is another interesting and popular topics because probably all of you know that when you're starting the job search, you start with the job boards. You go to Indeed, LinkedIn, local boards, just to see what kind of roles are available. Remote roles are usually not posted there, and I'm not saying they're never posted there, but it's just not the best resource if you want to be more efficient with your job search. As I mentioned, you'll have to get creative. So you will have to check LinkedIn posts, startup job boards, startup platforms, startup accelerators, even some remote specific boards, Discord channels, and even freelance platforms. So when it comes to LinkedIn posts, when it comes to LinkedIn, actually a lot of people think about it just as a job aggregator. The reality is it's more than a job aggregator. It's an amazing research tool. It's great for networking, and it also gives you access to the hidden job opportunities. So don't just go to Jobs tab. Try to find recruiters who are working for the startups, who are working for companies that are scaling quickly, some tiny companies, and because some of them skip the formal job ads, they cannot afford to use LinkedIn jobs. As maybe some of you don't know, but LinkedIn jobs are very expensive, like depending on different factors. Sometimes it costs like $4 or $5 per one application. So companies cannot afford to use it. Instead, their recruiters just make a post saying, hey, we're hiring some designers, we're hiring some developers. Here's the link to our Notion, or here's the link to our ATS, because some of the startups, they're not even using ATSs. They don't have a formal, well set up ATS yet. So they use Notion or something else instead. Well, also a lot of staffing agencies don't post the roles. And when I was working in the agency, if I'm being honest, I haven't posted a single role in a few years, just because we were competing with some other agencies, and also the roles that we're working on, they were so specific. We would not get the right applications. So I was mostly headhunting. I was making posts on LinkedIn, and imagine if I was hiring for remote roles, there was no way for you to identify these roles that I had through the job boards. You would have to be connected with me, see my posts, and maybe if we're connected again, I would find you when targeting the people who have the right skills. So to find the right post, and again, you can play around with your search. You can play around with the keywords a lot, but I would just go to LinkedIn search bar, put something like remote software engineer UK, filter to posts, and see the results. If they look irrelevant, if you're not liking what you're seeing, just play with the keywords. Try to play a little bit with filters to make sure that it looks better and you're actually satisfied with the results. What else? You can try different variations. So you can try hashtags. You can try just putting in the keywords like hiring remote, work from anywhere, distributed team, remote EMEA, and filter by posts. And maybe that specific recruiter that you found through the search will not have any relevant roles for you at the moment. But if you connect with them, if you stay in touch, they might get the right role for you in just a month. What else? For startup job boards, there are a lot of them. And actually, at some point, we had this list of probably like 100 different startup job boards and accelerators. But I'm going to give you some of my favorite ones. So first of all, it is WellFound. WellFound usually posts US startups that some of them hire within US. Some of them ask you to come to the office, but there are also a lot of interesting opportunities that are available to candidates globally. Work at Startup is an interesting resource as well. So it is a website by Y Combinators. So traditionally, there are some roles by younger startups that have just recently raised their first or second round of investment and that are growing rapidly. And let me tell you, when it comes to startups who have recently raised a lot of investment, imagine they had a team of 20 people and they just raised 40 or 50 million. They probably want to scale their team by 50 or 60 people in 6 to 7 months. They're going through crazy times. And due to this, they're not going to set up all the process properly and have all the formal processes that other companies might usually have. Which actually gives you an opportunity to go directly to the hiring managers, LinkedIn messages, go directly to recruiters who are still trying to navigate the processes and get access to these roles. And why I'm saying it right now is because Y Combinator Work at Startup is one of the resources that actually give you direct access to the hiring managers. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. Some of the other resources are magnet.com. They post jobs at funded startups in UAE, in Saudi, in Qatar. So you might find some interesting opportunities there. Seedcamp for London VC portfolio. They also have lots of in-person roles, but some of them might be remote. So worth checking. And then jobs.techstars. They post a lot of startups in Dubai, London, US. Also, it's both in person, hybrid, remote. So it might take you some time to find the right opportunities, but there are definitely some interesting ones there that are also available for remote candidates. What else? When it comes to finding the startups, some of them might not be using any of the job boards. So ideally, you want to identify the companies, go straight to recruiter or the hiring managers and message them on LinkedIn. But how do I find the right startups? How do I find all these names? What I would suggest is going to Crunchbase. So Crunchbase is a website that keeps all the information about the startups who recently, not just recently got investments, but they pretty much keep all the information about the startups. Some of them are in pre-seed stage, some of them just straight investment. So on that website, you can filter for funding stage. And if company is hiring, they're probably in seed A, B, C stages. And after that, they're in a position where they're more established. So I would filter for funding stage seeds seed series A to C, and then filter by location. So in your case, it might be UK, US, MENA, and again, you might find some other interesting options in other parts of the world. But traditionally, these are the industries that pay really well, not industries, regions that pay really well and have some remote arrangements. When it comes to industries, you can filter by SaaS, FinTech, payments, BNPL, Web3, AI, again, traditional industries that traditionally have remote roles would be the correct way to say it. Depending on your experience, on your domain expertise, you can search for some other industries as well, but I would recommend starting with this. Then you can filter by the investment dates. So we're interested in the companies that have raised investment recently. Because in this case, there is a very high probability that they're actively hiring. Once you're done with all of this, Crunchbase is going to give you a list of the company names, and you can export it and then just go on LinkedIn, find each one of them, find people from there, message them, and ask them whether they're hiring and whether they might need you. What else? There are some remote specific boards, and again, honestly, there are hundreds of them, if not thousands. Here are some of my favorite ones. First one is We Work Remotely, Remote UK, Remotive.io, and Remote.com, which is a company that hires a lot of remote candidates. They also have their own job boards, and they only post remote roles there. On all of these job boards, when you're looking at the jobs, keep in mind, some of them will state that you need work authorization in, let's say, US or UK. Some of them are going to say remote within US only. So if it says it clearly and sometimes multiple times in the job description, maybe it's not exactly what you need. So make sure to read through every job description and only apply for the roles that consider candidates from abroad. Discord channels. I saw that we had a question in the chat, so wanted to tell you a little bit about this. If I'm being honest, and assume that we have people from all kinds of backgrounds. So maybe some Discord channels that I'm providing today might not be relevant for you, which doesn't mean that there are no Discord channels that are going to have the right jobs. You just have to go and search. You can try searching in Discord. You can try Googling. You can even ask ChatGPT to give you the names of the right Discord channels. And just based on my experience, it's pretty knowledgeable. It's giving you the right names. And once you have the names of the Discord channels, you can just search them. You can join them. They usually have a tab and like a separate discussion for job searching. Sometimes you're going to find interesting job descriptions there and interesting job postings. In some case, there's not going to be job posted, but the hiring managers are gonna be in that Discord channel. So it's worth being active there, networking, talking to people, and you might get access to hidden job opportunities. We haven't included it here, but in some cases, Facebook groups might also have some interesting jobs. But traditionally, like Discord community, it's way smaller. So there's way less junk. In Facebook communities, you're going to see a lot of scam roles, a lot of pretty low paying roles. But in some cases, again, probably your best bet is to talk to ChatGPT and to ask it to give you a list of Facebook groups that might have the right roles for you, and then just manually checking it. It's not possible, unfortunately, to give a full list of all relevant Discord channels or Facebook groups, as it's very specific to your situation. So please do your research, check every channel manually, and I can guarantee you will find something relevant, and you're going to find some jobs that are not available anywhere else. What else? Freelance platform. Again, there are dozens of them. Some of my favorite ones include TopTal, Upwork, Contra, Fiverr Pro. And when we're talking about freelance opportunities, some people might think it's going to be super easy to find a freelance role, but the reality of the market is it's no longer easy to even find a freelance job. So you're going to have to invest some time into setting up your profile, maybe getting some low-paying clients first, just to get some reviews, just to get some good ratings. But once you've invested that effort, once you've invested that time into it, all these platforms might have interesting opportunities. When we're talking about TopTal, it's actually among this list, it's a little bit different to everything else, as TopTal introduced their freelancers before giving them access to the opportunities. So to TopTal, it's going to be more like a traditional job application process, and you will either get selected or get rejected. On all other platforms, it's less traditional, so you will have to build some reputation and invest effort into your profile to start getting high-paying clients. What else? Some of the things that I think are important is presenting your experience, right? When you start the remote job search. As you might have noticed, it's a pretty complicated process. And the last thing that I want you to do is invest lots of time into researching the right companies, finding the list, messaging the recruiters, and then getting a reject just because you did not present your experience good enough on your resume, or because you said something wrong on the message to the recruiter or the hiring manager. So a few tips, and we're not giving you basic stuff in resume. And Yulia actually mentioned that most of the people who are here today, they already know a lot about job search and they have great resumes, great LinkedIn profiles. So not going too deep into the basics. If you're job searching remotely, it is very important to provide as much context as possible. Because company in the UK might not know the company that you're working for right now in Finland or somewhere else in the world. So we need to tell them why this company is great. We need to show them how the processes were built, how the entire thing worked, how the entire company worked. So what we can emphasize, first of all, give the company description, and I put some examples here on the slides. You can describe the company, Delhi Mobile, the world's largest car sharing service, or Avito, one of the largest e-com platforms in Eastern Europe. You can also, if the company is not too well known, you can make comparisons. So with Dina Mobile, this person said it is an Uber Lyft equivalent, which is true. Or Avito is an eBay Amazon equivalent. I mean, what company does is the same. It's just a completely different company located in a completely different region. What else we can show is some interesting facts about the company, because sometimes we think if I put a hyperlink on my resume, probably the recruiter is going to click and check the website and they will be impressed with how cool the company is. But the reality is recruiters have hundreds of resumes, so nobody's investing time into checking every single company that you have on your resume. So let me give you this example with Selfie. We're not just talking about what the company does, what it is, like AI-driven marketing automation platform for SMBs. We also explain what it offers, no-code tools for email, chatbot, multi-channel campaigns, who it works with. They help small teams run personalized marketing at scale. What else we can put here is the number of users, the markets that the company works with, global clients, number of clients, even number of employees, because there are some enterprise companies that everyone knows locally, but some foreign employers might not know it. And I did not see the whole question, but I think someone asked about putting too much text into resume. I think it's very important not to give like a 3-sentence description of the company. That is something that you save for an interview. When it comes to resume, this is a very short 1-line description, and it's not gonna take too much space. But at the same time, it's gonna show the employer what this company does and why your experience is valuable. So honestly, I think sacrificing just 1 line of space. And in this case, like the formatting that I'm showing, we're not even sacrificing 1 line. We're just putting it next to the company name. So I think it is worth it, and it definitely gives additional context. But again, keep in mind that you don't need to put too much information. Someone also asked about putting the client names that might be under NDA. Honestly, it all depends on your NDA. So in some cases, if you're working through the agency, agency might allow you to put the client name. And in this case, let's say you're working for KFC Uzbekistan, but you're employed for the agency. KFC is going to look way better on your resume than just putting the no-name agency. If you're allowed to do it, please do it. If you are working with multiple clients, let's say you're in consulting, but if you're working with US-based clients, it would be amazing to put the names as well. If you're not allowed to name the clients, I sometimes suggest job seekers to make it obvious without actually naming the clients. So like the biggest fast food chain in the world, or the biggest digital bank in this region with this services. So technically, we're not naming the employer, we're not putting it on our resume, but for everyone, it is pretty obvious who you're working for. If you have Fortune 500 clients, 100% go for it, put it on your resume. That is something that impresses both recruiters and hiring managers when you're applying for both, honestly, both remote and in-person roles. But as I mentioned, in remote contexts, is way more important just because foreign companies do not know what is going on locally, so you need to impress them. When you're talking about your bullets, I mean, it's pretty typical, the same as job searching for local roles. You have to make them structured, use XYZ formula, not just show the processes, show the results. But at the same time, you might want to put some more information about the budget, the team, the responsibility scope. I'm going to share a very short story. When I was recruiting for one Vancouver-based governmental company, I showed my hiring manager a resume of a project manager, and without my pitch about the candidate's experience, they right away said, "Oh yes, he's perfect. I want to interview him," because he knew exactly what was going on in that other Vancouver-based governmental company. They have hired from there a lot. He knew exactly what he was signing up for. But when it comes to foreign companies, they have no idea what is going on here. They have no idea how many people you have on the team, or what your responsibility scope might be like. So in this case, you might put that context on your resume. One last thing, I mean, we've covered this a little bit already, but if you worked with global clients, Fortune 500 clients, if you have any big names, or even if you worked with some local, like famous local companies, describe them in a salesy way. So let's say you worked through the agency, but you were supporting Delhi Mobile. You can say, I was delivering a project for Delhi Mobile, which is the largest car sharing service in a certain region or in the world, so that the company knows right away. One last thing, If you worked with global teams, with distributed teams, that is something that's very valuable for a remote role. So I would mention that as well. Cool. Just a few more things that I wanted to mention today. When it comes to remote job searching, networking is the key. There are going to be a lot of hidden opportunities, or even if the opportunity is not hidden, you will get access to hiring managers, and you will be more likely to get the interviews if you have talked to people personally. Ideally, we want you to network outside of LinkedIn, so in person, but not really in person. Visit virtual meetups, professional groups. You can check out Meetup or Eventbrite or Hopin. You can, again, ask ChatGPT to make a list of virtual professional events for you specifically. Let's say you're in retail and e-com. You can ask about that industry specifically and see if there are any interesting, smaller, bigger professional conferences or events that you can join and meet people who might be hiring for remote roles. What else? If there are no events, or if you want to, and you probably will want to network outside of the events just to make your job search quicker and more effective, you can also network on LinkedIn. You can reach out to the hiring managers as they're the decision makers. And in some cases, I've had clients apply for the role, get rejected by a recruiter, and then they reach out to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager says, "Oh, wow, your experience is exactly what I need. I want to invite you for an interview." So they got officially rejected, but then the hiring managers, who's actually the decision maker, not the recruiter, invites them. So that's your first option. You can also talk to your peers. So someone who is already working in your dream company and who's also working maybe in the same function, maybe in the same role, but there's someone who know exactly what you're doing and what is going on in the company. They are the people who, first of all, can give you useful insights. As I always say, that not a single career consultant, not a single recruiter can give you the information that's going to be as valuable as information that someone who's already working your dream job can give you. That's one thing. Another thing is that these people are the ones who can refer you. And probably most of you have heard about referrals when someone who is already working for the company recommends you for a specific role. They usually get a cash bonus for it. So it's in their best interest to help the company hire you. Recruiters have a conflict of interest, so we're not allowed to refer candidates. Hiring managers are usually too busy to be thinking about different roles that you could be a fit for, but your peers are people who can actually refer you to the hiring manager. So it's worth reaching out to them. And the last option, recruiters, agency recruiters might have access to some pretty interesting roles. Some in-house recruiters might have access to the roles that have not been published yet. When you have applied, it's also worth reaching out to recruiters, as they might specifically look at your application before everyone else. So they're the people who you also want to talk to. And it's very easy to say, network on LinkedIn, message everyone, you're going to get some replies, but nobody knows what to say. So let me give you a quick formula. You might want to start with a quick intro. So just tell a little bit about yourself. In this example, we have Alex, a marketing manager with 5 years of experience growing e-commerce brands. Let them know why you're reaching out. State your purpose. You can say that you saw their recent post about this role. You found some of their thoughts interesting. You are considering applying. You have applied already, and here is how you fit the role. So you wanted to reach out. You had some questions about the role or the company or something else. You definitely need to put a call to action, as in many cases, our personal recent messages that have a lot of background info, like 5 paragraphs about the person, and I still have no idea why they're reaching out to me and how I can help them. So you need to ask a question. You need to ask for a call. You need to ask to point you to the right person. Make sure that every message that you send actually has that call to action. And just a little closing, make sure to be polite, thank them in advance for their time, and keep it formal, like not too formal, not using fluffy ChatGPT's language. Make sure it does sound like a human, but at the same time, make sure you are polite and you are using appropriate language. We also put a few examples for you here. So I'm gonna read them, I think. The first one is, let's say, hi Tom, thanks for accepting my invite. I noticed that Apple is hiring for a role that aligns closely with my background. And you can put the link, you can just put the job ID or the name of the role. You need to tell a little bit about yourself. In this case, this is actually an e-commerce example. I bring 20 plus years of international sales experience. I have led DTC wholesale e-com expansion across 500 retail doors in all these countries for all these companies. If you happen to know who's responsible for the role, or if you'd be open to passing my resume alone, I'd really appreciate it. Alternatively, happy to reach out to someone else if you think that's a better route. So in this example, we told a little bit about ourselves. We made a point about why you're a fit for the role. We had a call to action. If you could pass along my resume, or if you know who is responsible for the role and who I should reach out to, so the person knows what specifically they can do. It's short, polite. Please don't make it too long, but also state all the important things there. Another example here is a message to Sarah. I noticed you were hiring for a product marketing manager at Stripe. The role looks like a perfect fit for me. Here's a description of how it is a fit. I'd love to learn more about this role and see if my experience aligns with what you're looking for. Would you be open to a quick chat, or is there someone else on the team I could connect with? Again, short and polite. And I quickly saw the message in the chat about reaching out to people and not getting replies. So we're not the only ones who are doing this. And people on LinkedIn get lots and lots of messages. So you need to be persistent. If I'm being honest, to get a referral, you probably need to connect and send the same message to at least 7 to 8 people, and it's still not guaranteed that you're going to get a referral. And for example, at AgileFluent, when we're doing outreaching on behalf of the client, until we get a job offer, we usually send probably like 800, sometimes 900 connection invites. We limit ourselves to 50 per week, but that's still a huge number. Around 20 to 30% accept the invites. And then we send a message with a specific request. And only, it's hard to say, but probably 15 to 20% of people reply to us. And some people are rude. They're saying, why are you reaching out to us? You can just, you can just check out the job boards. I'm not going to help you. And that's perfectly fine. A lot of people are going to ghost you. That is also perfectly fine. But some people, they're going to take your resume and go to every single hiring manager that might have a relevant role and promote your profile. So, in my opinion, it's both. Quality is important. You have to put a lot of time and effort into finding the right people and into writing a good message. But at the same time, it is a numbers game. So you have to send out lots and lots of messages before you get that reply, before you get that referral. But at the end of the day, you only need one person to reply and to refer you to get that interview. And if you do well in that interview, you can get a very well-paid, fully remote job. So all that effort, all the time is going to pay off. So it's your choice. You can do it. You cannot do it. But that's definitely something that has worked for me and for my clients multiple times. Actually, before we jump into salary points, one last thing that I wanted to say is, if you're really interested in a specific company and you see that they hire remotely, you see that your experience is a fit, they have lots of roles that are a fit, and you're getting ghosted by hiring managers and recruiters, maybe try to do I mean, first of all, I want to call it do something else for them. In some cases, it might mean commenting on their posts. So let's say you see a hiring manager who's active on LinkedIn posting content. For a few weeks, comment on their posts, like their posts, interact with them a little bit so that they remember you. In this case, they will be more likely to reply to you. You can stalk them a little bit, and that's probably a strong word for what I mean. But I personally had a case when I wanted to connect with a company founder and he didn't reply to my message. So I watched his interview on YouTube. And then I came back to him with another message saying, like, hey, thanks again for accepting my invite. I actually just watched your interview and said a few things about it, and then jumped straight to what I wanted from him. And after that message, he replied, and that's definitely a better strategy than sending just like another standard message. Another way to stand out is to offer something that nobody else is offering. And I'm going to give you an example. I had a client who is a solution architect, and we were targeting US-based startups for remote roles only. And it's been going pretty terribly, to be honest. Nobody was replying to us. And what we tried is targeting US-based startups that have just raised the investment. They probably need people like himself. And then she offered them something like a free session, free call. She said, hey, I'm a solution architect and I've built systems for this, and this companies. Actually, see that, let's say you're in an e-commerce company and you're trying to build this system. And I have done it for the biggest retailer in Eastern Europe. So maybe you could benefit from a 30-minute free call with me. You could talk about the challenges that you have, and I can share how we at this huge company have solved them. Maybe I could give you some advice. And this strategy, again, it didn't give 100% conversion. It was probably not even 15%, but those 5% of people who replied to us and jumped on a call with him, we got like 3 or 4 interviews from that outreach. And before, we didn't have a single interview. So maybe it all depends on your experience, on your industry, but try to get creative. Try to stand out. Don't be just like everyone else. Don't send out standardized messages as they don't work too well. One last thing, actually not last thing, but quick thing that I wanted to talk about is the salaries. We're not going to give you specific ranges, but you can do your own research. You can use PayScale, Glassdoor, Levels FYI, Comparably. All of the following resources are amazing for doing research. But one thing that you need to keep in mind, some of the salaries that you're going to see on the website are higher because they are meant for inland candidates. And when companies hire remote people, they know that the cost of living is different to, let's say, US. So they're going to offer slightly lower salaries. So if you see that a software engineer based in San Francisco is making 270K, the possibility that they're going to offer you 270K is way lower because the taxes are higher and they want someone slightly cheaper. So make sure you keep it in mind, but definitely do your own research. What else? One last thing that I wanted to say before passing it to Yulia is beware of scammers. There are lots and lots of fake roles, fake companies, fake job offers. So if you receive a job offer and there's some blurry logos, there are some grammar mistakes, for example, on this offer, it was a scam job offer. You can see that the logo looks weird. Then if you try to search this people, they're actually not on LinkedIn, which is also concerning. Then if you look at the email address that was used to send you an offer, in some cases, it's going to be very similar to the company, but slightly different. Let's say instead of Nerdsbay, it's going to say Nerdbay. and you're thinking that it's Yulia sending you a job offer, but the reality is it is a scammer that is pretending to be Yulia, or that is pretending to be her employee that is sending you a fake job offer. If a company is asking you to pay something in advance, to pay for the shipment of the equipment, to provide too much personal details, pretty much all your documents, all your information, that is concerning. And if you're not sure if it's a real offer or if it's a fake offer, you can always reach out to the company on LinkedIn. So in this case, in this offer that I'm showing on the slide, it was actually received by my client, and we were not 100% sure if it was fake or not, as it kind of looked real. So I was already concerned about some grammar mistakes, about a blurry logo. These people were not on LinkedIn, which was very concerning. And the process was too quick. Like, they only had 2 15-minute interview with this person. And that is not typical for this kind of roles. So just to make sure we don't decline the real offer, we reached out to someone on LinkedIn who actually works for the company, and they confirmed that this offer unfortunately is fake. So just be careful. Some Discord channels, some Facebook groups, again, they might have some scammers, so you need to make sure that you don't have any issues with them. This was everything that I wanted to say, and I'll pass it to Yulia for a little bit to talk about the documentation part. Let me stop my screen sharing. There we go. Oops. Yulia, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Dina. Thank you very much, Dina, for the presentation. That was super interesting for me as well. And I'm definitely will take some tips to, keep in mind and probably share with the audience on LinkedIn as well. So I will not go too deep today about employment of record, because I've checked LinkedIns of the people who've been putting them in the chat, and mostly people are already in Finland. And for those who are in Finland, we have a webinar 3rd of November, and it's in our event calendar. So please, guys, join our webinar. So I will go much deeper there with my slides and explanations. So a few words about myself. I'm already told at the very beginning, but here is my LinkedIn QR code and a Telegram, which you can use every time when you have any questions regarding employment of record. I'm here to help, please. And quickly to explain, what does it mean? So employment of record, it's like a game for three people, for three parties. So this is you, this is us, and this is your client company. We make an agreement with your client company, and we make a hiring agreement with you. So we invoice in your client company, then we pay all taxes and contributions to Finland, and then we pay a salary to you. So, and you work directly under the management of your client company. So we are not acting as your managers in this process. So you work directly. In this case, I made this line where you can see how the EOR is placed between entrepreneurship, outstaffing, and outsourcing. So EOR, it's very close to like self-employed option, but still it's already employment. So for entrepreneurship, you have more responsibility, more money, and less security. For outsourcing, you have less responsibility, less money, but more security. For example, if you work as an entrepreneur, then you need to handle all the bureaucracy by your own. You need to be liable with all taxes and laws in Finland by your own. And then you also required to pay YEL insurance. This is insurance for entrepreneurs in Finland. And then you are only secured by the contract. And if it's in a contract, like hourly based contract, so this is hourly based contract, you don't have any sick leaves, any holidays, any like vacations that you can have with this contract. With employment of record, you became employed person. And here, Finnish labor law start to exist. So Nerdsbay is working on the Finnish labor law, so you will get all the benefits as you might have as a Finnish employee. All holidays, all sick leaves, pension will calculate it a little bit differently comparing to entrepreneurship. And we charge like a fixed fee, which cover our accounting and operational work, but we are not help you to search the job. So basically, you are the person who is responsible for this job search. Of course, we have this kind of webinars as we do have today, but since we are not helping you to make this job search as outstaffing and outsourcing companies do, and basically outstaffing and outsourcing companies, they can also provide you paid downtime when you're actually not working, but you received some salary receiving, but they charge much more, in percentage. So we charge 550 euro, and it's our flat fee. Outstaffing and outsourcing charge from 50 to 200% for their services when they're selling your job to the client. So benefits, like shortly, benefits of employment of record, we see self-employment, it's better social security, better employment security, labor law, unemployment benefits, and you can be a part of unemployment funds. There's also unemployment funds for entrepreneurs in Finland, but they cost much more and you will receive much less than employed person, and holidays and sick leaves. And also the right of residence. I've seen quite many people who are not original Finn, so you probably interested to have resident permit for specialist or blue card or employment resident permit, which are granted quite easily and quite fast in Finland, comparing to self-employed when you need to pass the evaluation of Migri and additionally of ELUCAS, because the organization which evaluate business activities. Going forward, so this is our main target group who can work with us. If you're already in Finland and you're looking for a remote job, you're in the right place. You want to relocate to Finland as EOR and you already have an employer, you're in the right place. If you want to relocate to Finland and just start looking for a remote job, it's also a right place because you already know how to, how to look for a remote job, how to find it, and how to communicate with remote employers. So the process is quite smooth. It might take from 1 to 1.5 months, but basically it happens quite fast. We make a calculation of the costs. So we make a proper calculation how much we need to pay for the pension security, how much we need to pay for the social security, unemployed security, health insurance, so all the funds. We make this calculation properly for you, and then you know how much you need to discuss with your potential employer or with your current employer if you need slight to increase, for example, your earnings right now. Then you introduce us to the company. You can just send our website, nerdsbay.com/EOR. I've been sending it at the very beginning of the conversation in the chat. And then they can make a call with us and we will handle all the operations in that time. So we make employer lease agreement with your client company and then employment contract with you. And after that, if needed, we make a resident permit application and onboarding. The fastest process is like a couple of days. We make, here it was like one day, one time when we did it, but today we did it again. The fastest process, it's already done. So why Nerdsbay? Dina today has been talking quite a lot of the global players like Oysters, Deal, Remote. They are good because they are global, and they are bad because they are global. When we talk about your comfort, it's better to work with local companies because we really know how Finland works. We really know how everything works here. For Deal and Remote and Oyster, it's like a branch, and they probably have nobody here in Finland, and they will just order the work from other consulting companies, and the process will long forever. So we do have community and informational channels. We organize those kind of webinars as today, and the communication with us fast and smooth, and we are really local relocation experts who handle this resident permit like on a daily basis. We know how to work with that, and we know what Migri wants, and Migri knows us, so we do not have problems, and we have like 100% approval rate with Migri. So that's it with my presentation. I tried to be very fast because I wanted to keep some time for questions and answers. Thank you guys for being with us for this time. Okay. I will check the.
Yulia, if you don't mind, while you're answering the questions, I'm just going to share these slides so that everyone can take a look at the services, and we can put the links in the chat.
Okay. Would you please explain how taxation is handled if someone works remotely from outside of Finland? How taxation is handled? Under which category would this fall, freelancer or entrepreneurship? I actually do not really understand the question. So you think that you will, could you give more details on that? So you would like to work for Finnish employer and work remotely outside of Finland, or you would like to work remotely with Nerdsbay, with the Finnish employer Nerdsbay, and have this resident permit in in Finland, and you would like to work remotely, for example, from Spain for some time, it's possible to do, but you need to be in Finland more than half a year to keep the tax residency here in Finland. So that's how we can, apply for the next resident permit smoothly. Okay, sounds good. Okay, yeah. So about the recording, we will discuss it with Dina after the call, and we'll see. Dina, could you say it now? Can we share the slides or not?
Yeah, for sure. We can share the slides after this. Guys, Yulia will find a way to send them to you. And Yulia, if you could put the links for Nerdsbay and for AgileFluent in the chat, that would be awesome. And just one last thing that I wanted to mention, if you wanted to get some help with job searching, with building your resume, or anything else that's related to job search, you can reach out to us. We actually at AgileFluent offer free consultation over chat. Here is a QR code that's going to take you to the chat with a manager, or we also put the link in the chat so you can use it. You can just scan the QR. Our manager will contact you, provide you with a free consultation about your situation. And also, if you decide to buy our services, we offer a 10% discount to everyone who was here today. You just need to mention it to the manager. You just need to say that you've been on this webinar with Nerdsbay and you want your 10% discount. So, yeah.
I do have one question from Unite. What is the situation if a person is working part-time remotely for US client from Finland? There is like several options how you can work remotely from Finland if you're already in Finland. And this pretty much depends on your resident permit situation. So if you don't care about it, let's say you have a permanent resident permit, so then there is several options. If you have a permanent work in Finland and you work part-time for US client, you can make a self-tax declaration. You can just notify tax authorities that you have a contract, you receive this money, and they will make an invoice for you. So you will pay your taxes. This is one option. But if this is like your all income, for example, so then you need to declare it in another way, because when you make self-tax declaration, you will be stay out of the social security system in Finland. So, for example, when you work with us, we pay all social security funds which needed, and if you make just a self-tax declaration, you will be out of the system. So then you need to figure out that. But hey guys, at nerdsbay.com there is a button, connect or contact, or I don't know, something like that. You can set a call with me if you still have questions, but probably you can also join our webinar next week. I think it will be already. So I will go deeply with all calculations there, so you will understand it better. If someone who's looking for a job in Finland from a foreign land, what are the possibilities that we can get help from Nerdsbay? So Nerdsbay can help if we already have a job contract in Finland. Did I get this right? Not really. If you have a remote contract, then you can move to Finland with Nerdsbay. So for example, you are now based in India, you find a contract from US, and then you contact us and we can help you to move to Finland. So the bottleneck here is quite high requirements for the invoicing. So we need to invoice company at least 5,300 euro per month. So this is a minimum for now, and it will increase in January or February. So basically, Migri is increasing those lines. How do we identify which startups are ready for hire, especially remotely? Because I have seen cases where startups hired remote employees and end up didn't have enough financial stability to support the employment contract long term, or ended up becoming a case of exploitation.
Yeah, let me take this one, Yulia.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, so there is no guarantee. There is never a guarantee. And I mean, I think it all depends on your priorities. So let's say I have a client who's saying, hey, stability is my number one priority, then I would definitely not recommend looking into remote roles with startups. But if I have a client who's saying, hey, flexibility is my top priority, I want to travel. Yes, there will be less stability, but I want a full remote job. Then in this case, as we actually talked somewhere here, you just go to Crunchbase, identify the companies that recently raised the investment, and reach out to them, reach out to employees to figure out what's going on in the company. And actually, in some cases, when you reach out to peers, when you reach out to employees, some of them are going to say, Felicia, don't apply. This is not the company that you want to join. I don't think we're in a good situation. I've seen cases like that. But also, I think it's important to assess the companies. So actually, I recently had an interesting startup reach out to me about the role, and they just raised 80 million. But when I looked in the company page, I noticed that every single person who's currently employed is either a graduate or has some very interesting, in my opinion, sort of like questionable experience. And they are claiming to have 100 people on LinkedIn. They have 30, which is also very suspicious to me. Also, the hiring process was pretty terrible. Like, I've done 2 interviews with them, and I did not enjoy that experience. I don't think they know what they're doing. I personally would not sign that job offer. I voluntarily resigned myself from the process. But in some other cases, you can see that they have some pretty talented people who worked for huge companies that made a shift to that startup. They've just raised money. They know exactly what they're doing. They have some well set up processes. And in this case, the possibility of the company that the company will be successful in long term is way higher. So I think there is no guarantee. Even when you work for a corporation, there is no guarantee that they're not going to lay off 1,000 people tomorrow and you will be one of them. But I would definitely assess more and do more research when it comes to startups.
Mm-hmm. Next questions from Tatiana. How about light entrepreneurship? And thank you very much for reminding this. It's also a good option for people who lives in Finland and have a project. And I would say that if it's less than 3,000 euro, then light entrepreneurship will be a good option for you. Otherwise, probably it's better to open Tiimi toiminimi individual entrepreneur company. Thank you for inspiring webinar. It gave me new ideas and practical tools I can apply right away. Just wondering how I should connect with Nerdsbay to find a remote job in Finland if I'm living in Finland. Okay, so here we will start. So right now in Finland, job market is quite tough. And if you go to LinkedIn and try to find, let's say, project manager role, you will find probably 30 openings. And then you will apply just on 10. To get one offer right now, Dina, correct me if I'm wrong, you need to apply at least 100 thoughtful application. And it should be really done good. But in Finland, right now, you have just 10 vacancies. How you can apply for 100? You cannot do that. So that's why Nerdsbay is promoting to you to go outside of Finland and looking for remote opportunities globally. And if you find a job somewhere in the globe, like UK, Singapore, Emirates, you name it, you can contact us and we will become your employer of record in this situation. So you will be hired by Nerdsbay and you will receive a salary from Nerdsbay and we will handle all the operational work and bureaucracy for you. The Telegram chat is in Finnish. I want to know if the replies can come in English. Yes, sure. I believe that with me or with Dina, it's totally fine. English, not Finnish. I do not speak Finnish fluently. I'm sorry for that, but yeah, I prefer English. I'm looking for a job from India in AI, ML role. I have done master in computer science, ET Delhi, India. Dina, could you make some recommendations for Sonu?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on in the AI/ML space. There's definitely a good space to be in. The only thing with your first, it looks to me that you've just graduated. Maybe you have some practical, like some real experience. In this case, amazing. You can start looking for remote jobs. Usually, when you don't have any job experience and you have just graduated, I would recommend first being in domestic experience in India, or if you're struggling to find something locally in India, you can also look into some volunteering opportunities just for a little bit, for like a month or two while you're job searching, to add to your resume, to your portfolio. You can look into freelance opportunities. You can find some like short gigs where you will get practical experience. As for recent grads, you need to show something. You need to prove to the company that you're different to all other grads, that you have the real skills, you know how the real job world, corporate world functions. So I would recommend getting some experience first. Whatever it takes you, it is worth it. And then once you have that experience on your resume, looking for a well-paying remote opportunity.
Thank you, Dina. There is a few more questions, but I hope that I can answer them during this session. either you can join our next session about employer of record, 3rd of October from our Luma calendar. Hope you are already subscribed. If not, let me know. A good question about sick leave and vacation. How do they work if not offered via B2B contract, but we use an EOR? Not really understand the order, but if you work as EOR, we make a contract with your client company which contain all the obligation that we have here in Finland, which contains all the sick leaves by the law, all the holidays leaves by the law. So we like agreed this with your client before. So you will have it when you work under the EOR. If you work as a contractor, basically company makes like as easy as possible. For example, hourly basis, so you get money only for the hours that you've been working. Is the 3,827 euro monthly salary amount before tax or after tax apply? It's before tax for EU card and specialist residence. So yeah, this is before tax. And if you are already in Finland, Nerdsbay can work with you even if you earn less than 3,827 euro. But if you want to relocate to Finland, we need to keep this line. Okay, so I think that how's job market of data analysis in Finland? How about language? Is Finnish a compulsory for most job? In Finland, I can answer this question, but it will be the last question, and after that we will say goodbye because it's already 1 hour and a half of the session. So in Finland, data analysis market now it's like a growing one, of course, like in all of the world. But since there's not that high salary ranges, so you cannot relocate here with this data analysis position. So, and about Finnish language, in Finland, there are quite many international companies which operate English, like on the common language of the company. But of course, there's local companies which operate Finnish, and you can see it from the advertisement, from the job offer, from the job description. So if job description is in Finnish, then probably they will require Finnish from you. If not, then if in English, then English. That's how you can understand. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys, for being with us, and happy to spend this evening with you. And thank you, Dina, for great presentation. And I will send the slides for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity, and thanks to everyone for staying with us till the end.
Thank you. And have a good night. Probably already.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
Hello, Reveni guys. I wanted to know all of you. Are you hearing me? Anybody, can you tell me which country are you from?